Mr. Sibo George. Good morning to my dynamic panelists, and good morning to the people of Liberia.
Thank you. We really appreciate you being here this morning. Very, gorgeously attired.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's welcome Eddie.
Yeah, boss.
Well, to me yesterday, I didn't see you.
Yeah, sure. And I was tired somewhere. And I didn't want for business to be so the mandate was that I should be here. So I had to do everything and make everything possible to be ready enough, not just being here, but to be ready enough and adequately here this morning. Thank you.
Thank you for coming. Clarence?
Thank you, Sobol. It's a pleasure to be here, to come to the Lone Star of Liberia. I call the ELBC the Lone Star of Liberia, and it is always an opportunity to be here. It's a privilege. We're taking a tour of some of your facilities by your Director General, Madam Estelle Liberty, and I want to say thanks in this public manner. Thanks to all of you for the wonderful job you continue to do here. You continue to lift ELBC. Thank you. It's a pleasure. Let's see what's going to happen today with the Director General of the National Fisheries and Aquaculture Authority, our friend Emma Glassco.
Okay, that's good, Clarence. Also, Hot FM Understand is also relaying this program. Let me welcome Sekou. Sekou, welcome. We were together yesterday. Huh?
Yeah. Good morning, my brother. And it feels good to be here this morning. Like my colleague said, having such a very important, interview with the head of NaFAA. And I think with such engagement, it will allow, Liberians to know more about the activities of the institution.
Sure.
So it's good to be here this morning. On yesterday, we had a fruitful, discussion, looking at some other issues as we prepare for today's interview.
Okay.
So it's good to be here.
Thank you, Sekou. So, Madam Director General, I know we'll be talking about a couple of agreements you signed. We'll also be talking about the fisheries university. But our emphasis this morning is on the Moroccan agreement. First, I'm sure it will be ideal for you to give us the historical background as to how did it all start. I'm talking about the Moroccan agreement.
Okay. It's actually nice to be back on the show after, I think the last time we were here was over a year, right?
Mm-hmm. I think last year.
Yes. And this is my first radio appearance this year.
Yeah, this year, sure.
I deem this appearance very important because over the last 1 year, I've signed 4 agreements on behalf of the government of Liberia, and I will definitely be signing another one on the 9th of March in Mauritania. But basically, I would like to focus a little bit more on the Moroccan agreement, and I will tell you the history.
Okay.
So when I was appointed by my president and I was given the opportunity to serve my people, the people of Liberia, one of the key things on my agenda was to ensure that we conduct a fish survey or stock assessment. It's called a stock assessment. That is the fisheries jargons. So it's called a stock assessment. In common words, I would say is a fish stock assessment to survey our species map them up. But basically, we wrote to governments because we know that has undermined this sector for so many years. And the last time we ever did this assessment was 1982. That is over 40 years ago. I wasn't even born at that time. And that was when we conducted this, it's called acoustic survey of our fisheries resources. At that time, acoustic survey. At that time, Liberia had 160 180,000 metric tons of fish. And at that time, you had a vibrant and active Monserrado fishing pier that were managed by the Talbot administration, where they were exporting valuable, commercially valuable marine species to international markets like Japan, Asia, and America. Now, because this fishing industry is governed by international laws and protocols, for example, we are contracting party to UNCLOS, the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, the United Nations Fish Stock Agreement, UNFA, the Port State Measures Agreement by FAO, Guideline for Responsible Fishing, and other regional fisheries management organization. Why am I naming that? Is because you cannot open your fisheries program if you do not comply with these rules and these laws. And part of it is that if you don't do a current stock assessment, you cannot open your fisheries program to attract more industrial fishing. And that is where the monetary value comes in. That is the money. That's where you can determine how much you can make or quantify or get the net worth of the fisheries. So before we go, I'm telling you how it came about, right? I have to give you the background on why it is important. And so we wrote the government of China, because at that time they had a partnership with Sierra Leone, and they were conducting similar stock assessment in the waters. And we wrote them and said, but since we share borders with Sierra Leone, can you come to conduct a similar stock assessment here? But you know, the diplomatic relations with China and Liberia, at that time they're saying that, okay, we had to reapply and all of that, and they couldn't just jump into the protocol with the agreement, so they did not honor our request. We also wrote to FAO. I remember in 2019 to 2020, I signed an agreement with the country representative of FAO so that Liberia can participate in a regional stock assessment. So they do it every year per region. And so we signed an agreement at that time, financed by the United Nations through the Japanese government, and they conducted the regional survey. But because it was a regional survey, they didn't spend more than 4 days in our waters, so it was not comprehensive. Still, with the
any desire
to open other fisheries program, and we did not have adequate data, I also wrote the Moroccan government. And all those communications went since 2018. Since 2018, we kept engaging these governments and these international organizations. FAO came through, but like I said, it was a regional survey. But then through one of our regional organization, intergovernmental organization with 22 states, is called ALFACO, African Countries Bordering the Atlantic Ocean. So the Atlantic Ocean is bordered by a lot of other African countries, and we are 22 member states. So I wrote at LAFCO and said, and since they had their headquarters in Morocco, I said, can you talk to liaise with the Moroccan government to see if we can use their research vessel to conduct assessment? Because our country did not have the financial capabilities to finance this cost-intensive initiative. To conduct a survey, a comprehensive survey, is millions of dollars. And so I had a discussion with the legislature and other senior government officials, and so we could not source the money at the time to do the survey. And so they came through, finally, based on one of their they have a newly constructed research vessel. And this research vessel costs millions of dollars. like the one that is coming to Liberia, costs over 40 million euro, and is built with sensors. And so we also, I want to also say that we also engaged the World Bank to provide financing for this. We engaged the World Bank. Out of the $40 million we signed with the World Bank provided 2 or 3 million within that envelope to conduct our research. Simple, Mr. George. We put a bid. We tender a bid for us to get a research vessel to conduct survey for 2 years. And we had a competition between Guinea and Senegal. Senegal finally agreed to do it, being financed by the World Bank. Since July, we signed that agreement. They have not been able to come through because they've been having so many challenges. I'm just telling you how difficult it is to be able to get a research vessel, because that is what opens your fisheries. In fact, as we were signing the agreement, I remember there were other African countries that were having conversations with the minister of Morocco, because they have one of the biggest fishing economy in our sub-region, to see how they can also conduct similar survey. So this is the history this is how we were able, out of a lot of other engagements, we finally were able to get.
You want to tell us about the economic benefit of the agreement?
Okay, and so it cannot be overemphasized. I took some notes, and I hope you wouldn't mind me looking into it. This will help us to transition from a dormant, small-scale fishing program that seems to be non-existent to a commercial, to an industrial fishing area. Number one, industrial vessels.
I'm sorry. So you think it's important for her to tell us about the agreement? Then we can go to, because I think you were trying to historicize how the agreement came to be. Am I correct?
Yeah.
So I think it would be good to tell us about the agreement. You went to Morocco. What happened there? You tell us. Then we can come down to talk about all the other benefits.
Yeah, but I basically have said it all. We finally did a tripartite agreement between the intergovernmental organization, which we are also a contracting member party to, the ALAFCO, with the 22 states, the Moroccan government, because they work through, they use their cooperation, because we're African countries cooperating together, and they were able to work with the Moroccan government for us to secure the vessel. It's going to 3 countries, going to Liberia, Togo, and Benin. No, it's coming here first. Okay. And this is why they want to change that. And this is why the minister and the high-profile government want to come and commission it, because it will be Liberia will start the regional survey, but ours will be a comprehensive survey. So it's going to spend a longer time in our waters. And so, we did a tripartite agreement. It was signed, and I'm excited. But I would like to talk about the economic benefits. Exactly. Why do we need a survey?
Yeah, sure.
For example, shipping.
Because we understand that the agreement will breast the survey, right?
Exactly. So, we've already sent our research plan, and the sailing order. So the vessel is most likely to come at the end of March. Okay. And so, why is it important? Now, fishing is a multi-billion-dollar industry. Our fishing industrial, we have a couple of industrial fishing vessels, but you don't see them here because they are laying at other international ports. But to fish for other species, they cannot come and just start looking all in the waters, because the land space is bigger, the ocean space is bigger than the land space. And the fishy species, they have different communities. I'm trying not to be too scientific or too technical, so that you can be able to understand. And then you must use different types of fishing techniques to be able to harness this the fisheries resources. Also looking at our geographical position along the coast. Liberia is at the end of the continental shelf within the sub-region. So our waters, unlike other waters, they are deep and narrow. That is why you can get drowned in 1 nautical mile. So for example, our 1 nautical mile is Ghana 3 nautical miles. So Ghana 5 nautical miles is 30 meters deep, and our 6 nautical mile is 150 meters deep. So that means it then tells you that the differentiation in a kind of species. So Liberia has more bottom-dwelling species, and the other countries have more pelagic species where that is in the middle water column. Okay. And so this survey will tell you where are these species across the ocean space within Liberian waters. Where are the hard biodiversity zones? What kind of fishing techniques can you use to get this get these species? So for example, you have Persianers, they only fish for tuna and mackerels. Those are gigantic ships. You have longliners, they do like they pull and line. So they fish very valuable species, but their own technique is there, and those species are in different columns in the water. Then you have trawlers. That is what is peculiar to our country. Okay. You must do deep water trawling to be able to get it from the flow. And we are more rich in shellfish, or it's called crustaceans. That is, we have like 6 kind of species. Like not 6 kind of species, but 6 fisheries. When I say fisheries, that means that previously they identified that it's in commercial quantity, but we don't know the exact quantity because the data we have is outdated since 1982. Okay. And so because of that, if you come, there was a time the investor came with a vessel. He came with a personal vessel. He came as far personal, that means the ones that fish the mackerel and stuff like that. He came as far as 1 nautical mile. 1 nautical mile is just on the beach. He couldn't catch any fish. He said, Liberia does not have fish. Liberia does not have fish. No, it's not that we don't have fish. We have fish. Our own resources is on the flow. Okay. And your vessel specialization is to only catch within the water, within the middle water column. That was one. For example, a fishing vessel or a fishing today we're doing a lecture. Yeah. A fishing vessel, industrial ship can spend at least 7,000 gallons of fuel per day to operate. Now you don't expect that ship to just come and just be going. We have a 200 nautical miles limit. 1 nautical mile is like 4 acres of land. I'm trying to make it simple as much as I can. 1 nautical mile is like 4 acres of land. We have 200 nautical miles, and our coastline is 579 kilometers of coastline. Now, you're not going to come with your ship and just be going all over the place to know what is in there, right? There's a possibility that you might lose. Okay, so this survey is going to inform us where are the different fishing zones.
Where's the location?
Where are the locations? Okay. What kind of fishing techniques can you apply? For example, you have shrimpers. There was a publication from some NGO the last time say Liberia is called pelagic. They're exploiting the overfishing the valuable shrimps. Okay, that is a different technique. So you cannot even use a trawler to catch. You can only use trawler to catch your snapper, your grunter, and your grouper, the other demersal, because we have 6. I told you we have 6 fisheries, right? We have the deep water demersal and the shallow water demersal. The shallow water demersal, like what I said, they are the bottom dwelling species, but some is way near the coast, and some is further up the coast. So that's why we say the deep water and the shallow water. We also have large pelagic and small pelagic. But we've noticed that we have more large pelagic, and that's the tuna resources. So that is managed by an international body, and we are currently giving license for tuna vessels. We have about at least over 40 plus operating on our high seas, but they are not landing in Liberia because we don't have the port facility.
But they were licensed by you.
They are licensed by us, and that's why we get 90% of our revenue. Okay. And so I just want to categorize the species. Okay. Then you have the shrimps. You have deep water shrimps. For example, the skylet shrimps and the rose shrimps. Those are very expensive. A ton of those shrimps can be over $100,000 US. Just 1 ton. It's within our 22 nautical miles. We just, through the research where the previous experimental fishing that we just stopped, they say you catch that within our 22 nautical miles. Almost close to Sierra Leone, you have a well of that kind of red shrimps. Then you have the pink shrimps, the coastal shrimps, the one that can be, where you can see all on the market, the red shrimps. That one is like $12,000 US per ton. Okay. That's what you see within the 6 nautical miles, the 1 nautical miles, 2 nautical miles, where our fishermen can catch. That is it. Then we also have, and then we also have the deep crabs. We have one international vessel that was fishing the deep crab, which is a Korean vessel. And we find the Korean vessel because the Korean vessel came in the 6 nautical mile zones, which is a no, that means that it's prohibited for industrial ships.
It's a no-go zone.
It's a no-go zone. And we charge the vessel, the previous government fined the vessel $1 million US. The people couldn't pay because according to our laws, $1 million US to fish in that zone. They couldn't pay. The vessel left here and got rotting. I think we through the Ministry of Justice, we were able to dispose of it as scrap. I think through maybe 100 or 20,000, something like that. The employee was paid in government revenue. So that vessel, that Eros Korean vessel, was fishing for our deep crabs. So we have pink crab. Pink crab too is also very important. It's very expensive. So Liberia, as far as I know, based on the previous fishing operation during the Monserrato pier days, we are more rich in crustaceans, shellfish, and other seafood products. Okay, so it is this information that you will use to attract possible investment, because it will now create a fishing grade, which is a map with a demarcation where you can find these different species, what kind of fishing techniques you can use to exploit these species. So this information can tell you that you have 12,000 or 15,000 metric tons of shrimps. You have 300,000 metric tons of large pelagic, like the tuna resources. You have 10,000 or 50, the last survey they say we had from the one that they just spent 4 days in our water, they say we had only 60,000 tons of the messel, that is snapper, because they say we can eat it plenty, it overfish. So we can only, according to international laws now, we can only license 60%. You cannot license more than 60% of that 60,000 metric tons. So it will tell us the total biomass of the different species within our ocean space, the commercial value of each of those species, and then it will be able to inform our decisions as to how many ships we can license, how many assets we can give out. And then as per our laws, the ex-vessel value of the current price of that fish or of the fish products, we will get 20%. That means you're not learning here. Imagine if we had a port facility, it is going to increase how much we're going to get. But just for an access agreement, just to have an access, because most of the agreements we now have, those agreements are called access agreement. So it's just for you to catch fish and sell it anywhere you want to sell it in the world. because we don't have the port
You
facility.
just get out 20%.
You must just get out 20%. And that is a bad agreement. Because if we have port infrastructure, our law says that you must land 40% of the fish product that you catch in our water, and 60% that will be exported. Export charges will apply. Apart from the 20%, you will be paying 10% extra for export charges. That is what our law say. Plus the other charges that will accrue from port charges, and you imagine the job and things. And this is why the World Bank saw that this sector has huge economic potential to actually generate revenue, improve livelihood, strengthen our food security system. And this was the reason why they deemed it necessary to work with the government to invest 60 million of the total envelope that is coming to Liberia into the fishing sector to help bridge the infrastructure problems that is like the fishing port, and also address issues with the local local fishermen with the landing site and the storage facility areas. So that I don't want to go into that other part, but just looking at basically just looking at the research and what it will bring. And so I don't like to talk too much numbers because I don't want to get in the air. I want to manage the expectations of our listening audience.
And we could just give people the,
but I'm just saying the last time that the World Bank, before they gave us this money, we did an economic analysis of the port infrastructure, our whole sector, and how much it can bring. From the rough analysis, they said we could bring 33 million per year. If we give access to all our, so that means for we can say the deep shrimps, we can license 10 vessels. Maybe that deep shrimps alone, if we license 10 vessels, maybe it can bring 5 million. Only for that deep shrimps. Maybe the coastal shrimps can bring 1.5 million. Maybe the tuna fisheries can bring 10 million. It depends on the value of it. It depends on the value. Like I said, for the deep shrimps, the scarlet shrimp, which is one of the most expensive shrimp on the world, you can do your research. Even on black market, it's 65,000 per ton. Just black market. That means you not get no flex state, you not get no export duties. You just on the sea, you see your other friend well get the export market. Maybe the person going to Asia, the person going to America. You want to do transshipment right on the sea and make a business there. That the bloody there. That's 65,000 per ton. So wherein you want to do a proper licensing, wherein your country has accreditation, that is another challenge we have. We are not, and so now the fishing industry is most complex. So even access to international markets, you must be accredited. I will give the government a plus. The government has taken one step forward. We have established a standard lab. The Fisheries Authority also have a lab that will be functioning under the standard lab. We are waiting for the president to put it into structure, and then we'll be working closely with our partners to get accreditation. Then we'll be exporting as Liberian products. But currently, even the access we're giving to the people, they don't sell the fish as Liberian fish.
As Liberia's fish.
They sell it under the flag. So, for example, the Korean ambassador came to see me 2 days ago, and he brought a Korean investor. He has like 4 tuna vessels, but he wants to see if because they overheard that, you know, there's a global village now that Liberia has shrimps and crabs, deep water crab and something like that. So he wants to like have access to our resources. Okay. So in case I think I've missed my thoughts on it.
In the conversation or interaction.
In a conversation with him, okay, they were trying to invest into our fishing because they understand that we have interesting species for their Asian markets. So different species have different markets. Different species have different markets. We have newly discovered another species, and that is they call it sea cucumber. Although the speaker of the legislature, Honorable Bofa Chima, they normally call him sea cucumber because he's very interested in our other fishery. 1 million, 3 million is 1 ton of that is 3 million United States dollars. Just 1 ton. Liberia has never harvested 1 ton of it. We just saw it somewhere in Maryland. In fact, Maryland has been identified as one of our biggest fishing zones. Most of the good, big, the real, the high value species, they are found in Maryland, they are found somewhere in Cape Mount, and they are found somewhere near Bordeaux, Sierra Leone, and something like that. So this is what this survey will tell us. How much can we get for? So I'm so excited about it because now I can be able to, when I go to legislature, I can be able to tell you, say, I gave you 200 licenses to 200 industrial ships. They will be fishing different species, and we'll give you 50 million or 10 million as our revenue every year.
Okay. I'm just imagining if
the data, I want to clarify, if the data says we have it in commercial quantity, because since 40 years we haven't done this, but we from the history we have with Tobotan, this is the records we have in 1970. We were exporting these shrimps, and they were in our waters. So we have not. Right now we don't have legal rights to allow anybody to fish for any of these species, because based on international laws, you have to conduct this stock assessment to inform your decision, because now overfishing is an international crime. So this is why it is very important.
So I was just imagining, you know, if the fish and the different species were being sold as Liberia's, you know, products, how investors will be attracted. But for how long will the vessel be here, and will we have some of our technicians on board?
Yes. So we have some of our fisheries technicians that will be on board these vessels. They have been on the FAO NaFAA fishing vessel. When they came to Liberia, I think the NaFAA vessel have come to Liberia like 3 or 4 times, and they were part of the researchers that were on the vessel. And besides, they have the academic credential because they went to school. They got a master's in fisheries management and policies. And some of them went to Iceland, some went to Korea in the previous government, and they were able to get the experience through this how they can call it this while they were on the research vessel. So we are putting at least 3 of our experts on the Moroccan vessel, so for transparency, so that we can get accurate data.
That's my point.
So they can kind of say, oh, we don't have enough here, we don't have enough there. Our people will be on this vessel, working on the vessel day and night. And the vessel is so sophisticated that it works with only sensors. Wow. So it's where you identify a school of fish. You know, they can call it a school of fish. I'm trying to be simple as possible. School of fish. The fish, they don't go alone. They go in group. So they call them school of fish. So it is that they will get their sensors when you identify those areas, and then they will create that map and tell you, say, in this zone here, this is what you get, but you can only license 5 or 10 vessels. In the other zone here, this is what you get, but you can only license this. In the other zone here, this is what you get, but you can only license this. You know, okay, let me make it simple again. You know the oil, like the oil exploration, right? You want to know where are the oil blocks. We're in the ocean space there. You want to know if there are actual oil there. It's that information we want. So when you get that information, and then investor can beat their chest and say, okay, something in Liberia, we know exactly where it is, and we'll come in there. Like I said, there was a vessel that came and said, we got no fish, because he couldn't identify the zones, and he did not have the specialized, it did not inform him, we did not have data to inform him on the specialized fishing techniques. And let me tell you, a vessel is a ship, because I keep on calling vessel. A vessel is a ship, is a fisher's jargon. A vessel is not a boat. It is a ship. It is, some vessels are bigger than the entire LBS, bigger than the whole something. And the fishing grounds could be 1 acre of land. They will just put a net in like 1 or 2 acres of land in the ocean space and keep it there for 5 days. That's how industrial fishing looking. When they're hauling it, they're hauling a whole population, a whole nation of people, whole nation of fish. So that is how industrial fishing is. And this will trigger more economic development because there will be need for infrastructure. That's when you can start having your processing here. That is when we'll need a lab to get the accreditation, because once it's processed here, then we can start accessing export market. We can stamp Liberia. When I was going to Morocco, I had the opportunity to bring one of the locals from in West Point. And I needed her, and this is why we're doing a study tour. And we'll be doing a study tour in May. We're going to Seychelles, we're going to Egypt, and we're going to South Africa. And I'm going to take some independent journalists so you can really understand how this fishing sector transforms economies around the world. I'm telling you, I know I'm passionate about it, but this is true. This is really true. This sector, it contributes hugely to GDP in other countries. This sector contributes hugely to revenue generation, and this is why we are setting the fundamentals. If we don't have all of these in place, I know one caller will say, oh, how much you contributing? You're not contributing much because you only got 6 trawlers in your water, 6 Chinese trawlers licensed in your water. It is the same reason, because we don't have data, we cannot increase the efforts on our water, and we cannot generate more revenue. But once we get this information, all of the ships that have been having interest plus more, they will be able to come in our country, and they will be able to harness the resources here, and we'll be able to get value for money from our marine resources.
So how does that also address the issue of employment for those who want to be?
We have seamen unions. We have a structure called the Seamen Union. They will be able to be deployed on these vessels.
Okay.
For example, based on the policies we have in Liberia, in case, like the world being fastly going towards the development of the port infrastructure, once that port is built, that fishing port is built at Montserrat Pier, they will be mandated by all means to land their catches here. And I want to go a step further. This is why I've been having agreements with Senegal, agreement with Ivory Coast. But I just had to come there quickly to say this, because all these ships, they are not landing here. They are landing in other ports. So once we have a port infrastructure, these vessels will be mandated to land here. If they land here, you can see the whole value chain, the jobs it will bring. They will be forced to have their processing right in Liberia, their packaging before it's exported. This is where the economic chain, the value chain, the economic value chain, right from there. So when you have, and then guess what? We're not be importing fish. We're importing 70% of our fish. Well, when I went to Morocco, when we were with other ministers and we're discussing, and I told them Liberia importing 70% of the total fish in the market. I could buy my hand machine because my Cape Verde, but we are an export-based economy. We are exporting 97% of our seafood product. Madagascar said, but we are exporting, we don't buy. Even Uganda that have this Victoria Lake and something, they don't import fish. Even landlocked countries, they are, how they can call it, they're doing more export than import. So we have this long coastline. We have these resources, but because we have not met with these international obligations, we are not able to harness the potential within this sector, and we are not able to generate the needed revenue to support our government within this sector. And this is why I deemed it necessary to communicate these gains. I pray that I get they understand exactly what I know people will understand, but I pray what I'm saying makes sense.
Most of the people,
but this is why I'm so excited about it. Like, I was so excited till I acted like a child, and the ministers there were kind of smiling at me, because I was just so excited. Because imagine, since 2018 you've been looking forward to get this thing, and you finally get it. And so we have automated our systems in NaFAA, and we'll soon be launching it. So all of this data will be on our websites. So we will be able to attract possible investments, tangible investments. In fact, someone in the investment will tell you, say you have to build certain infrastructure before we get you access to our, before we get you, we'll graduate to that stage and say we're not going to get you access to can fish and carry and sell. We'll tell you, say, if you're taking our fish, you must build canneries. If you're taking our fish, you must do your fish meal. If you're taking our fish, you must do this. So there will definitely be job opportunities in our sector. And we will not need to import fish anymore because they will be able to supply just a small population of 5.2 million.
Before my colleague come in, let me just ask you, because I heard you talk about, you know, categories of fisheries, right? Now, I know the survey will bring lots of benefits. How many categories do we have, and as a country, how many we've been able to, you know, open up to in terms of the workings?
We only have 2. We're only using 2 out of 6.
Out of 6. So
out of 6.
4 is out.
4 we're not licensing. We're not giving license for because we don't have scientific data. So we can't give license on those, like the deep crabs, the shrimps, the other shellfish. We can't give license. Even a small pelagic. So a small pelagic are the mackerel. Although I really believe that we don't really have a lot of small pelagic, but our fishermen say they can catch plenty of mackerel and pony. So maybe we do have it in commercial quantity because they say they can catch a lot of mackerel and pony. But the mackerel and pony is a small pelagic. But what I know we do have is a large pelagic. We have a lot of tuna. We have a lot of tuna in our and the tuna is what you can call bloody fish. And that is high value. So this is what a survey will tell you. The categories, whether you have your water jet gets also species. So low, the snapper that low value species. Your cassava fish where you left 2 bar, that low value species in the international market. The grunter and tine, that low value species. But the tuna and the sanadilla, the salmon, those are high value species. People can pay a lot of money for it. The shrimps, you gotta have the different categories of shrimp. I just told you one at 12,000, the other one at 120,000. So you can see. So this survey will tell us. That's what I said in a nutshell, the commercial viability of our marine resources.
So when the survey is
and
done,
will actually unlock the fisheries potential.
So when the survey is done, so many as a country now will open up for the 6 categories of us.
Yes, we'll open up, and this survey could identify new species. I told you that we just identify one species called sea cucumber. Let me tell you how sea cucumber looking just mega. But a medicine in Asia, they don't joke with it. So looking just mega. And let me show you the fishing techniques. So that's why I'm telling you about fishing techniques. You have to dive to pick it from under the rocks.
It is very expensive.
Extremely. That's why it's 3 million for 1 ton. Because Liberia hasn't even fished 50 kg. We have not even fished 50 kg yet. We even fish 50 kg yet. But they discovered somewhere in Maryland. Okay, so another thing it will tell us is that some of these species help to give ecosystem balance.
Okay.
So you can't just go and start fishing it. If you fish it, the ecosystem, the fisheries ecosystem could collapse because there's a whole chain wherein the primary consumer, secondary consumer, and you know those things I would learn in school when we grew up. So that whole chain, you understand? The different chain. So the other smaller fish could go depend on the sea cucumber to survive. So if you over-exploit it, that means if you overfish it and you fish too much, that whole ecosystem, whether like a sour fish or snapper in our whole area, it will collapse because you get nothing to depend on. But this survey will tell us whether it's in abundance, whether you can fish some and remain some, so other resources there can survive.
You know,
so that means that, sorry to cut you off, that means that even if you got a fish in your water, but if it's not in commercial quantity for industrial fishing, you cannot give license for it. Even if it's in your water and you own it according to international law. Even if it's for you and it's not in commercial quantity, you cannot give license for that fish because they feel that it was a global village. So if you do it, they will put you on a certain sanctions and you will become an island. So you just have big water, plenty of things inside, but nobody will come to harness it. Jealousy will be for a long time because we have not met with this, because having a stock assessment is an international obligation. Okay. It's actually an international obligation.
When did you realize this?
I told you since 2018. And those were part of those. I realized it since I was in school. That is important to do. Of course, I don't think that is important to do survey. But when I got the opportunity to serve my country, I thought I took this as a priority because I'm a woman with a big heart, with very big dreams, and I really feel that one day my country could become a fishing nation, where a major source of revenue will be coming from the fishing industry.
It seems we need to place a lot of emphasis, or we need to flex our muscle and focus on fishery a little bit, because as you were explaining, at some point in time, I thought we were better than Ghana for some reasons, except that, you know, these kinds of survey will re-establish our position. Because I'm here doing a research on Ghana, for example. Just in 2020, the fishery sector in Ghana alone contributed 1.6 billion Ghana cedis to their economy, which is $263 million. Yeah. So if we have all these value species and the cucumber and all these things you're talking about, and we can focus our attention on fishery, talk to our partners, and we have the requisite infrastructure, I'm telling you, fishery alone could be half of our entire GDP.
I'm telling you. I can't like, listen, the dream is just too big. I don't know how to continue. Like, it's just too much. There's so much we can do with this sector. There is so much. And this is why, you see, we have deemed it necessary to establish a department of fisheries and aquaculture science, to give BSc in it, because fishing goes beyond catching fish by canoe.
Madam Glassco.
So, yeah, let me just come in. Okay. Yeah, I think Kevin is here.
And before you come in, let me because I'm a sector here. I'm a sector here.
Yeah.
Let me get a sector here. I need to tell you something.
Without arguing with you.
Wait, yeah. I want to say something. Another reason why we cannot overemphasize the importance of building resource capacity is because this sector, as I've told you, is governed by international treaties, laws, protocols, and best practices in order to harness and maximize the potential in the sector. Or else, it will remain just the way it has been, characterized by canoe fishing that does not have the capacity to supply our local market. Only with bucket of fish, bag of fish, and not able to supply the world. So in order to industrialize the sector, to get the real potential of the sector, these are the steps, and we have to build capacity.
I think I visited West Point area, and a friend of mine, they call Money Fish. They are into these local fishing authorities. And just for a few hours I spent around the West Point area, and it's a whole saying that no one goes at the fishing site and go back home hungry. You will get something, and if you go there, that's just it. Everyone else is taking something back home. The fishing sector is where you go and you never get hungry, and I think that's something that we need to tap into. But again, the last time we spoke with you, especially some of the challenges that you were facing at the time, we see you speaking with great excitement now, and I'm meeting you with international compliance. And today, I'm here to hear from you about this unregulated, on governance, issues that had evolved around our fisheries sector, which you inherited, and for which the European Union and so forth, they had the issue of yellow card and so forth, all of those things. So I would like specifically for you to speak to that, and as to where we are, and whether this program, this survey that you talk about, could be a major boost to meeting up with some of these international compliance to have some of these sanctions.
You know why I admire you? Because you are a very knowledgeable young man and you have retentive memory. And I would like to tell my people that we are close to, in the soonest possible time, I could say a couple of days, weeks, months to lift the yellow card. We are so close to lifting the yellow card. I'm maybe optimistic it will be next month that we lift the yellow card. Wow. Because we've been working so hard with the European Union to lift this yellow card. And it will even be a bigger boost to the fishing sector. That means we'll be able to start applying to have access to the markets. Because other fish that is sold, that's caught in our harvested in our waters, they're not having access to their markets. No. That what makes our sector unattractive.
That's why the qualities of fish that we're talking about, it doesn't matter.
That's why I said it's a complex industry. And it's governed by international rules and protocols. Because of those cards and those how do they call it here? They can call it here, no, they can make it look nice. You know, it's a sanction, but they will say notification. So until it becomes a red card, it becomes a sanction. But I still see it as some form of sanction.
Trading partner, because normally those sanctions are raised against countries that are potential trading partners, because they believe that you are very essential towards the fish market.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So those sanctions, okay, I inherited a yellow card from the previous administration because they went and they didn't conduct due diligence on a particular ship, and they registered a ship that was blacklisted by the whole world, that this ship is known for international crime, and they went ahead and licensed the ship. And immediately they licensed the ship. Although we revoked the license immediately, but then they gave us the yellow card and said that we do not have very strong regulatory framework. And so international fishing illegally is a crime. You won't know how much is a crime, because if you picture illegal fishing as canoe fishing, then you say that people are not talking seriously. But when you look at the industrial part of it, wherein you make millions from stealing fish in one's country, you will know that it is a huge crime. In other countries, I think like Philippines and other countries, they blast the vessels. I've forgotten the country when I was doing my research. In fact, once they catch you fishing, I will look for that country and tell you.
Clarence will do research.
Yeah, we need to look for that. I think it's in my thesis. I wrote a thesis on Liberia, and I think I referenced it. So it's in my thesis. I wrote a thesis on the fishery sector in Liberia for my graduate studies, and I think doing my research, I saw there was a country that once you steal, because our law said we'll fine you 1 million or more, depending on the gravity of the fine. So the fines in industrial fishing starts from $1 million US. It shows the value of what it is in fishing, especially, for example, coming into our artisanal zone where our local fishermen can fishing. That 1 million, because you go there, you will break I tell you, the fishing is massive fishing. You're able to scoop that whole area, and for 4 or 5 years, the people, you deplete the stocks, the people that be able to fish. And that's a whole livelihood system that will be affected. So in our country, if we catch you there, and the Coast Guard catch you there, you're going to pay 1 million or more for coming in that zone to fish in that zone. So it was because of weak compliance issues, weak regulatory issues that made us to get that notification from the European Union. And then when we got it, there were no joking reforms we did. We did a lot of reforms. Legal reforms, institutional reforms, structural reforms. We've done a lot of reforms, and this is why you see people are referencing international, people are referencing the fishery sector of Liberia, because we work closely with the European Union, we work closely with the World Bank, we work closely with other development partners to develop all of those reforms, so that once we open our fisheries sector to encourage international investment, they can be rest assured that we will be in full compliance of international laws and protocol.
I'm concerned about the conclusion of the survey, because in this entire conversation, it seems that what the survey is going to to determine the prospects, for instance, the quantity of different fish species we have in our waters, and the commercial value too as well. When is the survey going to kickstart? When is it going to end? And how long does it take, you know, for an outcome that is going to inform investors to be able to fish in our waters? And I'm also concerned about the fishing piers you talked about some months back that should be established in Montserrat and other fishing counties too as well.
Can I answer him?
Go ahead. Yeah, I think you were talking about Indonesia.
Yes.
Yeah, you were talking about Indonesia.
So Indonesia.
Yeah.
Thank
they
God.
were doing that to protect their marine sovereignty.
So smart people, so gurus. So you see, in Indonesia, they blast your boat. As soon as they catch you, they will bust the whole ship. They blast it and burn it. The whole ship. That's how grave it is an international crime. Although the international
burning one,
yeah, you see, Indonesia. They say Indonesia blows up 23 foreign fishing vessels. It's to send a strong message. They said you want 1 million, you want 2 million, you want 5 million, you want 20 million. They catch you in the water, they blast your whole ship up. Okay, so going back to what we were saying, you asked me on the issue of the survey. The survey is going to spend the first survey with the Moroccan government for 1 month. And you should be laughing. Because all the surveys that 3 days and 2 days are being
That's the question.
So there will be 1 month surveying your whole 200 nautical miles and 570 kilometers of coastline. We are the second longest coastline to Nigeria in the sub-region. Nigeria has 690 and Liberia has 579. So they will be doing it for 1 entire month in our waters. I'm so excited. I don't know how
with some personnel of NaFAA.
Exactly, with our experts. That is it. And as for the port construction, I'm also glad to inform you that we are very optimistic that by September we will start the dredging, and we will have signed a contract with a company that will come and do the construction. And I'm sure that before 2024, 2025, I think it will take like 3 years to build the port. But we will have given a contract by the end of this year, and the dredging will commence this year. We already a step ahead. We've given our company already, an Indian company that is in Liberia right now, and they are conducting environmental social impact assessment. It's called the ESIA. They were also granted permits by the EPA, thanks to Minister Tape or Director Tape, that he has been coordinating very well with us to grant them access. They're working with a local firm as per our law, and they are currently conducting a study. So the study it comprises of the bathymetric study. You do the ocean currents, the sedimentation, the whatever seabed, because you know in building a port you have to dry a particular area of the sea. So it is a prolongation of land towards the sea. So most areas when they are building ports, they dry part of the sea. So they have to conduct that study to be able to inform the design of the port based on our geographical location or whatever. So it is that study that study has been on for almost 8 months, and they are rounding up the preliminary design for our port. So very soon we'll have a company that will give us the beautiful design of our port, and we'll make the biggest billboard in Liberia to put the blueprint of how our future fishing port will look like. And you know, you say he who laugh last, laugh the best. We're in competition with ports like Ghana, Ivory Coast, Mauritania, Senegal, and we most likely expect that our port will be better than their own industrial port. And apart from mandating vessels around here to land, I'm sure we can be a hub within the sub-region because of our proximity. We are bordering all these states, so we could use that port as an access for all other fishing vessels to land in
Can you give us an idea, a picture of what we're talking about, the fishing port?
Like an idea?
Yeah, just give us a
Just give us
in a layman
a graphic.
and then you'll be able to just
what
look
is it
up
like? Because
what we stand to
is this
benefit
an
from
equivalent of a regular port? Or what is the difference?
Yes,
from this
it's like the free port of Monrovia.
Okay.
But it comes with processing facility. It's just that it's a designated area only for offloading fish products.
Okay.
So as per international laws too, you cannot offload the fish product where you do oil, gas, and cement and other things. So it will be like Freeport, but in a more fashionable, modernized, sophisticated form.
Fish sales will be there too as well. Like
So what informs the decision of the port is actually the depth. Some of the depth of the port. So this port design will be 9 meters depth. That means they can take vessels of over 500 gross tonnage. Over 5. So the port design is supposed to take vessels between 500 to 2,000 gross tonnage. Between 500 to 2,000 gross tonnage. So that means the port you can get 4 vessels will be able to offload at once at this new fishing port. That means 4 big horses just like ELBC in layman can be able to be. That is how is how they can call it. So it's southwest of the Montserrat Pier. It goes way down. So that's how we are building a gigantic port. So I mean, from the little figures I remember, that's what I know, that the depth is going to be 9 meters depth. I think our current port is about 5 meter depth. Or 6 meter depth.
it's also going to be a place where
The depth means that, oh my God.
You want to do some teaching.
Yes. Oh God, I don't know how to start that. But
the size of what building? Maybe you want to compare.
yeah, so that means in our ship, the ship that you see up, I just want to say for the general audience, the one that you see up, the one that inside the water,
The central bank building.
is almost the same size with the one that you just see on the surface. They drop the depth of the port. So if right now you cannot have it there because there are too many sand, and so if it goes there, then you now hear about ship breaching. So that's another person in what I other said, that that's a maritime engineer, the one in where in maritime, like Roger Tier, likes of Roger Tier, and also some other maritime experts that in the maritime authority. Those are the engineers, so they will tell you about the specification of a ship and what size it can come, all those type of different things. I just read ocean governance and fisheries management, so I can tell you about the legal regime of the sea and all of those things. But in terms of maritime engineering, so you got other people to speak.
Let's move on to some other important issues.
But we need to clarify that it's the depth of the port that that can tell you the importance of the port, and tell you the size of vessel it can berth. So as far as we're concerned, for the latest designs of this port that we wish to get, the latest modern vessel, the biggest ship in this world, will be able to berth at this port. Because we are having the biggest ship in this world, the current biggest ship, will be able, because we are digging like 9 meters deep. That is where it'll be. And you know what, they can do the railway, and they say underground railway, and they're building it way down in the sea. That is how the port is going, way down in the sea. So that means that the weight of that vessel, when that vessel is coming, that vessel will not be able to breach, because once you have too much sediments and you have not cleared all the debris and all of those things under that place, the vessel can get stuck and it can even sink. It can because of the too much sand, it will not be able to move. So you have to dig that thing. So that will be doing possible land reclamation. You know what land reclamation is? The sediments that will be taken from the area that will build that place, it can make a new island, because we'll have to take a whole lot. That is where the dredging component will come in, to dry that whole area. So maybe we'll be drying like I don't know, 50 meters in the sea, 20 meters in the sea, 30 meters in the sea. I don't know what the engineering details will be, but all the things that will take from in the sea, all the land and ships then I have sunk, all these wrecks, all these old things then are in the sea, they will have to dredge it. So the sand and everything that will come from that thing can make another island. So we have identified a place that will be dumping all those things when after they study, the next thing will be the dredging, because you got to clear that place for the people to come and do the proper construction. And it's actually coastal engineering. That means you have to start building within the sea structure. So it is a big thing. I think we need to talk about the fishery degree granting program. Emma is in a teaching mood.
Clarence, before you go there,
I told you that 2 hours died over.
Yeah, we're not transitioning.
Madam Glassco, you've signed other agreements like what you did with Ivory Coast, Ghana, recently in Senegal. You want to tell us about the benefit Liberia has with all of the agreements you've signed?
Yes. So, like I said, we are giving access to about 40 tuna vessels. And that particular fisheries is managed under the International Commission on the Conservation of Atlantic Tuna. Liberia is a contracting member to that regional fisheries organization, and so we gave fish access agreement. We signed fish access agreement with other foreign vessels, and they have to land at other ports. And Liberia don't have port for those vessels to land. That's why I keep on telling you, it looks like we're not doing nothing in fishing here, because the infrastructure, the lack of data has undermined this sector. And these are things that this government is trying to address. Okay. So we are signing port-to-port cooperation with these countries so that vessels that come here or the fishing ships that come here for access, they can offload in those areas where they have the ports, and they can allow our inspectors to go there and perform their compliance and duties. Or else, if you don't sign these cooperations, we will not be able to go to send our people there. So every time the ship offload, we fly our inspectors out of Liberia.
Is it costly?
Very costly. Every time. That's why we have fisheries inspectors that are trained. They are also schooled to how to go on, how to board a vessel, and how to check compliance.
How frequent do you do that? How frequent do you send the people?
How frequent the ship discharge? If it charge every month, every 45 days, every 60 days, every time we're sending people to Senegal and Dakar, Senegal and Ghana and Abidjan.
How much you spend?
I don't know. A lot of money.
More money.
But that is also part of the international obligation. You cannot give people access to fish in your country and you don't know how much is being fished out. Okay. Although we have observers that are deployed on those vessels, we have scientific observers, okay? But we must also have inspectors too that will go and check. So the scientific observer is that for every haul you take out of the water, they will record it. The species that were taken, the amount they were taking, the box, all of those things, the scientific observer will inform us. But then when you're ready to discharge the product, we'll also send our compliance officer. You know, every country, before any time a boat or ship goes to dock or offload, they got inspectors. But we don't want those people to only inspect it alone. We want to also inspect it along with them, to do a joint inspection. So it is also for that port-to-port cooperation, and also they will be able to share information with us. And in a case that there's any fisheries infraction or violations, we can work closely with those governments to prosecute those vessels.
Yeah, because it will be on their territories, yeah.
So this is why And this is part of the criteria towards lifting the yellow card. That's why I say we'll soon lift the yellow card. Because those were things they're saying now, okay, you say you're regulating your vessels. They are berthing or they are offloading within African basin. You don't even have no cooperation with any of these African states to know the quantity, quality of these products that's offloaded. How do you tell us now that you have strong regulatory regime when you don't know you don't have the infrastructure and they are offloading in other countries? So how do you know that, I mean, they are in compliance with your domestic laws or with your fisheries policies and stuff like that? So we have to sign these cooperations with them so they can grant us access and so they can sign and so they can share information. And our vessels, mostly within Africa basin, they mostly berth at Mauritania. A huge one, a lot of them go to Senegal, Cote d'Ivoire, Ghana, and once in a while they go to Morocco. And so, but you got most of them, the traffic is in Senegal, Cote d'Ivoire, and Ghana. And that's where most of the Liberian vessels go and berth within Africa. So this is why we are signing these cooperations with them, so that we can have these understandings that anytime our vessel calls to any of the port, they will give us notification, or the vessel gave us notification, or the ship gave us notification. Immediately we process the documents for our inspectors and we fly them over to those countries. So most of our inspectors are always flown over to those countries, and most of our inspectors are deployed, and our observers are deployed on these international vessels that fish in our waters. On another day, I will tell you another good news. We also have vessels that are flagged by Liberia, fishing in other countries, in other Atlantic seas, but paying revenue to government. Just because they are flagging. Just for the flagging. Okay. But they are fishing. So once you are flagged by Liberia, and anywhere along the Atlantic that you fish, on our flag is our quota. Okay. So there's regional organization that I talk about, the ICAD, they give. So we got like 80 something, I don't know how many countries, 50 something or some number, you can Google again, along the Atlantic Ocean. That means if you're not part of this international organization, you cannot, fishing tuna in your country is banned, whether you own it or not. Nobody will come fish it because there's it will be prohibited to sell. So that's why all of these international protocols and treaties, they are linked with international trade. If you don't comply with it, they will give you all these sanctions, and then it will make you look like an island. So once you are flagged by Liberia and you are fishing for tuna vessel, and you are a flagged tuna vessel, we have 2 flagged tuna vessels, but they deflagged last year. And you will not know why you won't know why they deflagged. They deflagged because they're not selling the fish to Europe. Europe not allowing them to discharge their fish. And they're saying that, okay, they were Ghanaian vessels, they decided to become Liberia flag vessel. They can only sell the fish to Asia, Korea, and America, and it's too far for them, so they are losing. So everybody, most of our people, because the proximity of Africa to Europe, and Europe has the biggest fish market, so everybody just looking at Liberia. As soon as Liberia left the yellow card, it's going to be, I mean, there will be too much, the traffic will not be able to handle it. Political and all kind of things, because people will be coming here a lot to access our resources so they can export to the European market. So they deflect. But guess what? We are getting some Asian people to kind of reflect because they want the fish to go to their market.
And so finally, before we can, I think the guys want to transition to this education, we talk about the capacity building, giving our own local fiction stuff like that. Now, you talk about the issue of port. I think Kevin asked you that, and you talk about it. But one thing you talk about, which of course many Liberians who have been interested in, which we have always been interested in, is our export capacity, which of course gives us a lot of money. You talk about the issue of harvesting, processing, packaging before export. Now, with these agreements reached, and do we still have that capacity anytime soon to do that as a result of this?
To export?
Yeah.
I will. It is in the purview of the Ministry of Commerce I cannot really speak to that, but I think the minister has made some gains already by establishing the standard laboratory authority. There is no way fisheries as an entity alone can get accredited. They have to accredit the country. The country has to have its own standard lab. And so all other labs, the lab as infield, the lab as fisheries, the lab as all TFK, I mean all the other labs will work under the standard authority. So even we do have a lab that we have established for testing and certification of fish product, but it's non-functional because the standard lab needs to be in operation, and it is that standard lab that they will accredit that will give us the access to other markets. So it is actually with our Minister of Commerce, and I'm sure she's working on it. I mean, we just lately through the legislation established a standard lab. Recently, under her leadership, they established a standard. It's called a standard lab authority. So by the time they put the structure in place and start working towards the accreditation, then other sectors like our sector will be greatly, hugely affected by it. But even as beautiful as our lab is, it can't operate unless we get the country has to get accreditation.
Okay,
so that is a commerce program.
And I know Sobo wants to go to the line. Is there any plan?
I think we want to go to the line because I talk about the university.
Is there any?
So let's just teach. Let's do some fisheries 101 and fisheries 102.
Okay, so tell us about the university issue where you have the fisheries science degree program running currently at the University of Liberia.
Okay, so the department was approved by the Academic Coordination Committee and the Faculty Senate May 23rd, and the department was established May 6, 2022, and now they will be producing BSc in Fishery Science and Aquaculture. It's so interesting. Guess what?
What?
We have over 1,000 applicants already. Can you imagine? Out of 20-something thousand students for a new program, and you got over 1,000 persons. I made sure to get the data correct before coming on the show. When he said, I talked to the dean, I said, you get how many students now take interest? He said over 1,000. I said, no, not true. You need to find out from the Office of Enrollment Service that number where you're talking, whether that's true. He said, Madam, I'm understating the number. It is actually over 1,000 students. So you see, our young people have also seen that this sector is an emerging economic sector full of enormous potential and opportunities. We've not even started talking about the fish farming thing, which is the aquaculture. I'm just focusing right now on my discussion on the survey. So you're talking about the fish farming and all the other value chain components and all of that. And because of the foreign investment that this sector has attracted, this university tends to bridge the knowledge gap within the sector. And because, you know, like I've talked about the complex sector of the fishing industry, how would they get acquainted with all this legal, the whole legal regime that is governing the sector if they are not schooled? At least now they're understanding that fishing is far more than just having a canoe and using hook and line to catch fish. In order to maximize the full economic potential of this sector, you must be schooled into this. And this is why we are going to partner with the Auburn University in America. I'm going in May to sign an agreement with the South African Rose Island University, along with the President Nelson. I must commend President Nelson of the University of Liberia because he's eagerly excited about this new fisheries program, and he has given us a lot of support. And actually, he owns this program anyway. It's not for NaFAA. It is actually for the University of Liberia. So I think he will be signing with Rhode Island University. But because it's a fisheries state, I will accompany him, and he will be part of the study tour. And we will be going to South Africa in May, where we'll be signing a partnership agreement with Rhode Island University to come and support our program. We also have the support of the Icelandic University. You know, they have a specialized university, fisheries university in Iceland. We have the Auburn University in the United States that we are also engaging to sign an agreement with to support our fisheries program. And we have the Cape Coast University in Ghana that we are also partnering with to help to support our fisheries program. So our fisheries program will be top-notch. Second to none.
What are the departments?
Best in the whole region and the whole world.
Departments? What are people going to be studying or learning?
They will be, for now, they will be having a specialization in fisheries management and administration. They will be having BSc specialization in aquaculture or fish farming. They will be having BSc in fish processing and marketing. These are the only 3 specializations that we are offering now as we just started this program. But there are more other specializations, but this is just the first. Before we go into the 3rd, 2nd, 4th year, it will be when we have all of these international partners and all the international universities supporting our program. But we are going much more further than having a department. The World Bank is planning on supporting us with additional funding for establishing a center of excellence, a regional center of excellence of fisheries and aquatic sciences. That is where you will have all these foreign collaborations with all of these universities, and you will have all these experts of fisheries from different parts of the world that will be instructors in that university, and it will be a regional university. Just as you have the Regional Maritime University in Ghana, that's how we want to have the Regional Center of Excellence for Fisheries and Aquatic Science. So it is actually going to be really sponsored by the World Bank, but it's going to be hosted in Liberia, and it's going to be under NaFAA. It's not going to be under the University of Liberia. It's going to be a standalone because it's going to be sponsored by the World Bank, and all of the instructors and everything will be flown out of the country through these partnerships that will be signing with all of these other big universities. And so that for the Department of Fisheries and Aquaculture Science, it will be at the University of Liberia. But this Center of Excellence, I see it coming in the next 2 to 3 years because it takes a whole deal of effort to establish the Regional Center of Excellence. But I mean, that is where we are transitioning from.
Can you maybe before we go to the lines?
And at that center, we'll be doing short training, short hands-on, short course training, you know, for that will affect our fishmongers and like the women in fisheries or the locals that don't want to get a BSc. They just want some specialized training for 6 weeks, 6 months. Some certificate courses will be at the regional center. We are also considering having a short-term course for the journalists, so you can ask me some very serious questions about the fisheries sector. We want to have some short courses for you. We'll be having AA degree at the regional center, and we'll be having a BSc degree, and we'll transform this place, and it will become a fishing nation.
Madam Glassco, before we go to the lines, the benefits of the applicants, at least you mentioned 3 departments. You care at least maybe
3 specialization.
3 specialization. You care to just maybe in 1 minute explain each of those? What are they? So that we can have people applying for just wherever. You know, I heard you.
So fisheries management and administration, almost like something I'm doing, that the whole policy and the governance part of it. Aquaculture development is basically fish farming. That's a whole business on a side. Fish farming is a whole deal. You got to know the salinity, the water temperature, the oxygen level in the water, the kind of fish to breed or mixed breed or whatever, the spawning period, the harvest period. But I'm not aquaculture specialist, but that's another whole specialization in order to also industrialize it. You know, we got fish farming here, but on a subsistence level. You know, guess what? I went to pond counter to see one of our fishery pond. I saw the fish in the pond. It was looking just like the fish were infested with some kind of disease. The fish been there for 1 year. It can grow more than my fingertip. And what did they give in the feeds? So in this thing, you will know that the quality of the feeds that you give this fish to give the fish is different. I went to Dakar and I saw that right now, because they have put a lot of pressure on the water, they are transitioning to fish farming now. So they're reducing the pressure on the sea because they are overly fished their stocks, and they are transitioning to fish farming now. So now they have a lot of women involved in the production of feeds. Now feeds is a challenge in Liberia. We don't have very good feeds. Only very few people are making feeds. Fingerling production is also an issue. We are importing fingerling from Cote d'Ivoire and from Ghana. Fingerlings are the tiny fish where you will pour in the water so it can grow to table-sized fish. So when you're doing fish farm, sometimes you need 2,000 of that. Tiny fish. So we do live export. By the time we buy like 5,000 of it, 3,000 and die, only 2,000 living, and then we give it. So because so we need to have. We are building a hatchery so that we can be producing the seed. So that's a whole specialization, that fish farming thing. And so people will be willing to it. Then fish processing and marketing is also a different thing. The different type of preservation techniques. Preservation have different techniques. See, let me tell you, all your small fish, I can move from here to Liberia. It can only go in some other part in America. It does not go on the people real market. I'm telling you.
So how do the people get it to put in the
It's not commercial. They only allow us to export here in subsistence amount. We have never exported. We don't export more than 25 kg of dry fish. So you see, but yeah, I do my little dry fish business. I just small thing. But when I'm talking about real industrialization, where it is all in supermarkets and stores in different parts of America as Liberia product, we have not reached there yet. And that is still, we're still getting towards that. Once this accreditation process is completed with the minister, and I'm sure she's working on it. And I also want to thank her for her support too. She's one of my board members, and she has given, you know, I'm governed by a board. She has given us she has lent us enormous support, and she's paying attention to this whole accreditation issue. So I should commend Minister Mawani Dix.
This new program.
So I mean, once we get that accreditation, then we will be able to, even the post in telecommunication, last time I met the Minister of Post and Telecommunication, we are not exporting dry fish in commercial quantity through the ports. We could be exporting containers and big carton, big consignments of fish through the port. It's the same because of the accreditation. And accreditation means that you have to meet the sanitary standards. So there are certain sanitary standards that you must, when I use the word sanitary, but sanitary, but there are certain standards that you must meet in terms of like the testing, the certification to make sure that the fish is good for public consumption and all of those things.
And we are yet to meet them.
Yeah, it has to be processed through the lab. Until that structure is built, you cannot allow a whole industrial scale to go on someone's market when it has not been stamped and approved by a competent body to accredit it.
So you exhausted your list? Because
anything, I'll be able to get 5 questions, yes, sir.
Okay, so you are listening
because
to a
we're
special,
taking almost 2 hours.
A special interview with the Director General of the National Fisheries and Aquaculture Authority, Emma Glassco. The program is relayed on Sky FM, Cool FM, Prime FM, Voice of Liberia, Joy FM, and Freedom FM. You can now put your calls. I'm sure you heard sufficiently.
Okay FM.
Okay FM as well.
Prime FM.
Sorry, yeah, we call Prime FM brother. So let's take the first call on the line. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, sir.
Yes, sir. Your name and where you calling from?
I'm Bobby Allison calling from the Capitol building.
Let's hear from you, Bobby.
Thank you. It's good that this program is really on the force of hope in Cleveland, Southern District, in Jerusalem, Maryland County, where we have officials and women that are glued to the radio quoting my manager out there. I have a question for Madam Glassco.
Okay.
You got the Department of Fisheries at the University of Liberia. Are you plan also to have the extended into Maryland County, where we got the Tottenham University? You got students that got interest also in this department. Thank you.
Mary thanks, and she's taking notes. She'll respond. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Yes, good morning.
Yeah, we are getting people to sign up.
Okay.
Everything went to your family, went to the Director General, and I got to. They want to comment on the right person that was bring law, and then the people from there, so
Okay, let's take this other caller on the line. Good morning.
Good morning, Sir George, and good morning to your high panel discussion, and good morning to the country of Liberian. My name is Ibrahim Political Mojesetu, and I come from the headquarters of the Veterans Bureau on the most talk about this morning. Thank you for inviting Madam Emma Glassco. She's one person who is making a purple agenda for progressive development be invincible in the hearts of the Liberian people. Madam Glassco, history will continue to judge you based on good judgment. You know what, President John, we are two times finished. That government you're working because you have paved your way. You're not doing our service job to say when the president comes in, we start working. The fishery sector will generate millions of dollars. Like Burundi will last in the fishery sector. But thank you for bringing products from country to the fishery sector. Last, Madam Glassco, how far with the issue of storage facilities?
Okay, she's taking notes. She'll respond. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Sir George.
Yes, sir.
Good morning to your studio panelists. Not forgetting about our two squares of the Popo on our Emma Glassco. This is here to allow the Popo defender, and I join you from Loki Town. I want to applaud Madam Glassco and inform us that we are proud of you. Whenever we are discussing this regime, we start from your entity because your tangibles are fixable. So to defend you and to defend NaFAA is very easier. So we encourage all governmental appointees like you to follow your footsteps. Because if somebody gives you a piece of job to do, and you're doing the job with passion, with over seriousness, the public will buy you, and even going across, hitting the international land, making sure that the fishery sector of our country is better, establishing a department of the University of Liberia, so that people will be well knowledgeable, is employable, and we urge you to continue, and we hope everybody will follow suit. Thank you very much, and God bless you.
Many thanks. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Sir John.
Yes, sir.
I'm Lauren Talu, calling for the office of VIP paragraph, the 70 manipulation of democracy.
Let's hear from you.
Yes, thank you very much, sir. I don't want to applaud more of my Allah, I don't want to applaud, I don't want to appreciate for hard work. Keep doing my VIP, thank you very much.
Okay. Appreciations. Good morning. Good morning. Okay, let's take this other call on the line. Good morning. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning. That's Robert Shaw. Good morning to the people of Liberia.
Hello?
Yeah.
Yes, go ahead.
Thank you. This is activist Martin Reynolds, and I do join the conversation this morning from you. I honestly, I'm deeply disappointed in the ED this morning. Can you imagine the 2-hour talk the ED takes to explain to the Liberian people without no accurate data? See the Liberian people that in fact, 5 years, how much she has done more than 4 contracts, and how much some of the contracts were done for. The question I will ask for all will ask my veteran power justice. Honestly, it is that we are not carried away by sweet talk. We aren't carried away by
Okay, you made your point already. Let's take the sort of on the line quickly. Good morning.
Good morning, Papa Josh.
Good morning.
Yeah, this is Maurita Do, the personal friend for Chili to Factory. Papa Josh, I want to salute my hero. You know, when woman working like that, we can all feel we can be proud. She made the women on Nigeria proud. But we have to entrust you with a position, and today you are working hard like that. I want to salute you, Mama, while we continue to guide you and protect you. Go on, Mama, do your work. That's why we are proud of you. We are supporting us, we are proud of you. And you can get another women that will take your first step. That will be okay. But why many women in the government? They are not working. They are not working. See labor.
Okay, many thanks, madam, many thanks. We really appreciate your time. Many thanks. Good morning. Everywhere you laugh. Yes, good morning.
I mean, this is what I think a public official is given the matter of authority to serve, and if they are serving it, don't they will do this, there will be a whole heart. You will see the public, I mean, coming to you with so many conversations, evidence by what has just been displayed this morning. All what we're hearing this morning is about conversation, no negativity, nobody calling, I mean, to criticize the war, all because of the exemplary rule that she continues to demonstrate. Simple and sympathy at that era. So we are proud of her. I have not seen her. But Glassco, I have not seen you. Simple, I have not seen you. But I'm very proud of you. Continue to work, and we in support of you. Thank you so much.
Many thanks. Let's take this caller. Good morning.
Yes, good morning, brother you, and good morning to our hard-working mother, Madam Emma Glassco. My name is Alfred E. Konepa, member of the Baraka, call from a proposal. DRP Baraka in support of the real proposal development defense team. Everybody appreciate our hard-working model for how we're doing for the laboratory in this country, nothing more I have to say. They appreciate our model to continue of who we're. But then we will go after 12 years from Glassco and say, after we are 12 years, our model will stay being bound for who we're towards the laboratory and the citizen of Liberia. Thank you so much.
Okay, many thanks. Tons of commendations. Let's hear from you. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Slobo, and good morning to the peace-loving people of Liberia. My name is Popi O'Neill Johnson, and I joined the conversation with the headquarters of the Veterans Bureau in Zokomé this morning. Well, Slobo, let me appreciate Madam Glassco and your colleagues. I listened to her. I really admire her presentation with regards to NaFAA. There are a lot of progress being made, and it is through her instrumentality. So I'd like to congratulate her for such a significant inroads being done at the level of NaFAA. And I hope that Madam Glassco will be able to engage into the community engagement program that is intended to at least deepen the understanding of young people, especially with regards to progress being made at the level of NaFAA. Thank you.
Many thanks. Many thanks. We really appreciate your time. Good morning. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
Let's hear from you.
Yes, I'm Wilson Johnson, formerly on the Queer Student Intellectual Center this morning, member of the National Response and Defense Team.
Okay.
Let me appreciate the Honorable woman she has said, or I think some of our government officials who serve in key government ministries should be constructive jealous of her. Because, for instance, for instance, she takes to the public. She always making that you are proud. Listen to what she has said. That anytime soon, 1 or 2 years from now, we'll be able to have our own pool when it comes to fisheries. And so proud to Liberia and Africa as a whole. So that
thanks. Another caller. Good morning. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning. Someone George.
Yes, sir.
This is the chairperson of the VIP Papua. I'm Sean Bastardino.
Okay.
I want to appreciate our mother and know for hard work towards the country and its citizens alike. I don't have much to say. My Glassco, over the years, she has contributed immensely towards the fisheries sector. So I just want to say that you continue hard work, that you continue to support the proper agenda of prosperity and development. Thank you very much.
Many thanks. Good morning. Good morning. Okay. Okay, thank you. Let me take this caller. Good morning. Good morning. Okay, this caller is not there. Let me take this other caller. Good morning.
Yeah.
Good morning.
Good morning again. Good morning again. I'm Dr. Robert George. Good morning to the studio chair. Dr. Robert George, activate massive window.
No, you made your point already. You made your point already. We can't keep you on the line. There are others who want to call. Good morning.
Good morning to our man. Good morning to our Robert George. I'm Emmanuel H. Curry, member of the VIP Battleground, calling for my proposal here at Johnson. I just want to appreciate our man for good work that she's doing towards the Liberian people. And let she continue to do what she is doing. God will bless her and give her long life. After George, we are 12 years, she will remain as the director to future. Thank you, man. Do your work and we're over with you. Thank you.
Okay, many thanks. Good morning. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. This is the Chief Sheriff from Lofa United Blind Association of Liberia.
Okay.
When you are to Lofa County, it's farmers.
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, I want to appreciate this madam. Also appreciate her for what she doing in a particular ministry. But I want to inform her that we engage her as a farmers in the county so that she could help us. Yeah, I need some tomorrow that could help us to carry also our activities in farming. Yeah, in farming activities. So at that time we have to get any information for her and we are waiting for Jama City Lofa County. So I just want to help you so that you can send my critique to her, also inform her. I will engage us in the direction.
Is it fish farming?
Yeah, we are doing red production.
Okay. Okay. All right. Okay. Okay. Take two more calls and then wrap it up quickly. 0776. Let me take this caller quickly. Good morning.
Good morning, Brother.
Yes, sir.
Good morning to the stars. This is the entire team. This is Abu Sharif.
Okay.
Abu Sharif, calling you from Japan Freeway, Amankasi, Chokava. Madam, you will be one person that you will be the cause that President we have to go back for this context, okay? Because actually, that's why President we are like, but unfortunately, some majority of some of the government officials, they are not performing. They're lowly our sister performing, sorry. If you are our sister performing, if they're performing, actually, they're going to be good, but I don't just know. So, sister, I just want to encourage you. Thank you, and you will continue your way.
Okay, many thanks. That does it for the closed session. Madam Director General, you can respond to those concerns.
Okay, let me also commend and thank the callers and the people of Liberia for also reposing their confidence in a young woman like myself, and also thank my president for giving me a platform to serve my country. Thanks for all the commendation. It's because of you that I'm here. With regards to the first question on extending the program to Maryland University, that will really be in the purview of the University of Liberia, as this program is managed by the University of Liberia. So I will encourage you that the administration or the senior executive of the Maryland University I think they are under the umbrella of the University of Liberia, and I'm sure that they can form some collaboration to see how they can do some student exchange or whatever programs that is there. But it is managed by the University of Liberia, and really I cannot speak a lot to that. Okay. With regards to the storage facility for learning sites, like I said, we are currently conducting feasibility studies. We will start the construction of the learning in the storage facility this year. We have identified counties like Grand Bassa County. We've secured the land from the port. We will be building in Marshall. If you even go to Marshall now, you see that the FAO built a big processing facility, drying oven facility at the Marshall there. So we'll be having the processing, we'll be having a learning site. Learning site means a decent environment where you can learn rather than just learning on the beach. So you will have a facility, and it will be coordinated and consistent with international best practices. With the color, that have some concerns of me not mentioning figures. I would like to address his concerns. I'm someone that I like people being more critical of me than just praising us. So I commend people to acknowledge my work, but I also like to address the concerns of people that have genuine concerns. Now, this sector under the George Weah administration for that color has generated $60 million from multilateral loans and over $20 million in grants, providing subsidies to improve the livelihood of our people that are visible. We brought in Yamaha Albo engines. We distributed it to our people. We brought in nets. We distributed it to our people to increase the capacity. The president just launched a life jacket as a safety program. In coming weeks, we'll be launching another safety program where we will be installing GPS tracking devices on canoes fishing in our waters to reduce the casualty at sea. When I met the revenue, I'm the first Director General at NaFAA, and I want to let this caller know that NaFAA is fully autonomous. That means we are not a spending entity. We don't get money from government. It is the money that we raise from the sector that we pay our salaries, that we'll be able to refurbish our buildings, that will be able to establish a proper functional running institution, and that we have been able to contribute to the government. And if he wants the information on our contribution to the government, I think that should be a public document. He should not call and be requesting, but he should go and he will have access to the contributions we've made, because it should be public. And this is a small government. Our revenue envelope, because we have not opened our fisheries sector, has been between 3.6 million to 4.3 million. That is the revenue envelope. And this is something that we generate every year through all of our reforms. For example, in 2019, it was affected when we lost the EU agreement. In 2020, it was affected when we lost the EU agreement. It expired in 33 tuna vessels left our registry. And so it affected our revenue at that time. We have identified alternative source of revenue, and these are part of the alternative source of revenue that we have identified by conducting a fish stock assessment to license more vessels that will increase our revenue contribution to the national budget. For my gains, we have signed a lot of bilateral and multilateral agreements, ratify international protocols, and are up to date with all of our current financial obligation and regulatory obligation with our international counterparts. For example, Liberia is a contracting party of some international conventions like UNCLOS and some other regional bodies like the ICAD, like the IOTC, and all of those other regional bodies, and the FCWC, ALFACO, and all of that. And this is important for building the image of our fisheries program so that investors or people or partners can have confidence in what we do. As for someone saying I will go 2 terms, I've exhausted my first term and I'm in my second term. The law provides for 2 terms only. So I'm happy for the second opportunity to serve my country. So I'm not ambitious to go more than 2 terms unless the law is amended and the Liberian people request that I should continue my work. But the president, through his good office, has reposed in me this confidence again for a second term to serve in my capacity as Director General. With regards to the color from LOFA, and with regards to farming rice, I'm into only fish, and rice is under the umbrella of the Agriculture Ministry. And he should please redirect that same letter he sent to me to the Minister of Agriculture, and I can assure him he will get the needed attention that is required. I would like to emphasize that when I came to NaFAA, revenue from just the local fisheries was $30,000. Right now, we are hitting $600,000 only from the artisanal fisheries. So if you are discussing figures, I invite him to my office. He cannot debate more than me. I will show him clear figures and tell him that we are not trying to buy public sentiments, but we are actually doing the people's work to address his concerns. Thank you very much.
Madam Director General, we really want to appreciate you for taking time off the busy schedule to appear on this simulcast today. We really appreciate your time. Thank you for coming.
And thank you to my dynamic panelists. I'm person of Mr. Ibrahim Wayon, Mr. Kelvin Deming, Mr. Clarence Jackson, Mr. Sekou Sheriff, Mr. Mr. Saba George. I think I have Liberia's finest journalists or panelists right here with me, and I must commend you too for taking up your time for this interview so that we can educate our people and inform them on our operations at the fisheries sector. And also thank you to Liberians. Thank you for taking your time to listen to this conversation, and I talk to you another time.
Okay.
And wish us a successful election in 2023, a successful re-election in 2023.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Director General. Hey, Sekou.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, so let me say thank you, and also the Director General of NaFAA. I think we had a very splendid, discussion, and I want to say thank you to every one of you who've been listening to us as well.
Ebi?
Yes, thanks, Soba. It's always nice being here. It was very much great talking with you.
Okay. Hey, Clarence.
Yes, Soba, thank you. It's an opportunity. We always come to do our jobs. Thank you so much.
Kevin?
Thank you, Saba, for the opportunity again.
Okay, so there's no second chance for first impression. Saba George is my name. Have a pleasant time.